Let's consider this question on mean. The daily earnings of 300 employees in a financial establishment is distributed as follows. Okay, we are given the table. We have on the first column daily earnings, and the second column is numbers of employee. Now, using coded value of y equals to x minus 225 all over 50, find the mean daily earning. You understand? I mean, find the mean daily pay. Okay, how do we calculate the mean daily pay? It's simple, just pay attention. You see, in solving this question, the first step is to prepare your table, okay? The first step is to prepare your table. Now, I'm going to draw out the table on the board, okay? Okay, so this is the table that I'm going to use for my solution. But before that, please, I want to pay attention. Don't forget that we are given a coded value of y equals to x minus 225 all over 50. Let me put it here. Y equals to x minus 225 all over 50. Okay? Let us take note of this value because we're going to use it in the calculation. Okay? Now, on this table, we're going to have the daily earnings. We're going to have the numbers of employee as well. Now, the first daily earning is 50 less than 100. 50 less than 100. You see what you have here, all the value that you're going to have here is known as the class interval. You understand? I'm going to explain, just pay attention. It is known as the class interval because it tells the range of value that falls between, what you have here is known as class interval. You can see that there is an inequality sign. That means that we didn't only have only a single value. For example, 50 less than 100, that is the employee that are earning 50 within the range of 50, but that amount is less than 100. You understand what I'm trying to say? It can be 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 80, 90. It might even be 99. You understand what I'm saying? But that amount cannot be 100. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So that is what this value is trying to tell us. So 50 less than 100 simply means 50 less than 100. I just represent that this sign. The sign that you see here is known as the less than sign, okay? So 50 less than 100. And in some cases, you might want to write it in full. It doesn't matter. You understand what I'm saying? So in the short form, you can put like this, 50 less than 100. And also, we have the second one. We're going to have 100 less than 150. 100 less than 150. Then, for the third, we might as well have 150 less than 200. 150 less than 200. Then for this, you're going to have 200 less than 250. Then 250 less than 300. 300 less than 350. 350 less than 400. And that's the last class interval, less than 400. You can see. So let me quickly rule the line so that you will not get confused. Okay, so let us proceed to fill the table for the numbers of employee. You see, the numbers of employee is the frequency. You understand? You see, the numbers of employee that you have here is known as the frequency, and I'm going to explain. Frequency tells you the numbers of values that fell within the set of range. You understand what I'm trying to say? The numbers of time that your samples repeat itself is known as the frequency. So the numbers of employee that falls within the range of 50 and less than 100 is 20. That's the first one, 20. Then the second one, we have 48. Okay, 48. The third, we have 56. The fourth, we have 72. Is on the table. All these values that I'm writing they are on the table. Then this one is 40. Then this one is 16. Okay. So I've not done anything. All I did was that I just put what I have in the question. All the values that I have in the question, I put it on this table. Okay. Don't forget that I told you that the numbers of employee is the frequency, as the numbers of employee tells you the numbers of sample that falls within a certain range. That is what frequency tells us. The numbers of times your sample repeats itself. That is what frequency tells you. And if you look at it, that means that 20 employees are earning within 50 to less than 100. It might be 50 to 99, or 99.9. You understand what I'm trying to say? So among the numbers of employees that is earning that amount daily is 20. And if you proceed to this one, the numbers of employees that is earning within the range of 100 to 149. Are you getting it? They are 48. You can see now. So frequency tells you the numbers of sample that you have in a particular range, or the numbers of times that your values or your samples repeat itself. All you have to do is just to pay attention. It's simple, okay? Now, we want to compute the mean using this coded value. See, it is important that you pay attention to this. Now, the next step is that you have to find the midpoint. The midpoint is the value of x, you understand? And the midpoint is given by this formula. Midpoint, listen, midpoint is equals to upper class interval plus the lower class interval all over 2, you understand? By using this formula, you're going to get the midpoint. Now, the midpoint, we are going to call it the value of, we are going to call that value x, okay? So let's put the midpoint. We're going to call it x. So I'm going to put into brackets x, okay? So the midpoint represents the midpoint of each class interval will give us the values of x. And I gave you that midpoint is calculated using this formula. Upper class interval plus the lower class interval all over 2. Now, if I want to get the value of these cells, which is for x, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add 50 and 100 together and divide it by 2, okay? So here, for the first I'm going to have 50 plus 100 all over 2. That is 150 over 2. 150 over 2 is 75, okay? So this will be 75. I'm very sure you understand. Okay, so here I'm going to have 75. Now, for the next cells, we're going to have 100 plus 150 divided by 2. 100 plus 150, that is what? 250. 250 divided by 2, that is 125. So here I'm going to have 125. For these cells, I'm going to have 150 plus 200 divided by 2. 150 plus 200 is 300. 350 divided by 2, that is 175. So I'm going to have 175 here. Now here, we are going to add upper class interval 250, then lower class interval, which is 200, divided by 2. 250 plus 200, that is 450. 450 divided by 2, that is 225, okay? 225. And for the next cells, add 300 and 250. 300 plus 250, that is 550. 550 divided by 2, that is 275. Okay, 275. Okay. Now, for this, I'm going to add 350 and 300 together. 350 plus 300, that is 650. 650 divided by 2, that is 325. 325. Now, here, add 400 and 350 together, that is 750. 750 divided by 2, that is 375 as well. Okay, 375. Now, having done this, the next column, we're going to have our deviation. That is where the coded value that we are given in the question comes in, because we're going to use it to get our deviation, okay? Now you can see that this one is a bit different from what we have been doing in our previous classes. So I want you to pay attention, okay? Now, if you want to get the coded value, if you want to get the deviation, the next column will be for the deviation. Deviation, let me just write it in full. Deviation, which is D. Now, the deviation, to get each deviation, pay attention, to get the deviation of each cells, all you have to do is that just replace the value of x, the corresponding x of each cells into this formula. For example, if I want to get the deviation of these cells, I'm going to substitute the value of x as 75 in this formula. Don't forget, this is the coded value. X minus 25 all over 50, you understand? So now, to get the value of these cells, I'm going to replace x as 75. So I'm going to have 75 minus 225, all over 50, okay? So 75 minus 225, that is negative 50. Negative 150. Negative 150 over 50, that is what? Negative 3, okay? So here, I'm going to have negative 3. So let me do this marker. I'm going to have negative 3 here. Okay, let's get the second one. for these cells, I'm going to replace the value of x as 125. So I'm going to have y equals to 125 minus 225 whole over 50. Okay, now I'm going to have negative 100 because if you subtract 125, if you subtract 225 from 125, you're going to have negative 100. So negative 100 divided by 50, that is give us negative 2. You understand? So here I'm going to have negative 2. And for the next cells, we're going to have 170. Okay, y for the deviation, that will be 125. Okay, 175 now. 175 minus 225 all over 50. Now 175 minus 225, that will give us 50 or negative 50. You understand? So I'm going to have negative 50 all over 50. Okay, so this will be what? Negative 1. Because if you divide negative 50 over 50, you're going to have negative 1. Okay, now let me erase this. Now, for the next cells, I'm going to replace x as what? As 225. So I'm going to have 225 minus 225 all over 50. That will be what? 225 minus 225, that is 0. So I'm going to have 0 over 50 undefined. 0. Okay? 275, okay? For these cells, I'm going to replace x as 275. Okay? So I'm going to have 275 minus 225 all over 50. That is what? 50 over 50 is equals to 1. So this will be 1. Now, for these cells, I'm going to have 325 minus 225 all over 50. That is what? That will give me 100. Okay, 100 all over 50. That is what? 2. Okay, this will be 2. And for the last cells, which is 3, for these cells, I'm going to replace x as 375. So I'm going to have 375 minus 225 all over 50. What's the answer? That will be 2. That will be 300. Okay. No, that will be 150. Sorry, 150 all over 50 equals to 3. Okay. So the answer for this will be 3. Now, I'm very sure you understood how I got these values. If you didn't understand, listen to the explanation again. Okay. All I did was that they have given me a coded value of y equals to x minus 225 all over 50. What I did was that I just replaced the value of x I replaced the value of x by the values of the midpoint that I got earlier. Then I get each value for the deviation. Okay. So now, having gotten to this point, the next column we are going to have the product of frequency and the deviation. Okay, that will be FD. Are you getting it? The product of the frequency and the deviation. You understand? Now, please pay attention. Frequency. These are the frequency and these are the deviation. Okay. Now, if I want to get the value of these cells, that will be what? The corresponding frequency and the corresponding deviation. By taking their product, I'm going to get this value. So here, the value of these cells will be 20 times negative 3. 20 times minus 3 is negative 60. So I'm going to have negative 60 for this. 48 times negative 2, that is negative 96. Okay. Yes, negative 96. For this, 56 times negative 1, negative 56. 72 times 0, that is 0. 48 times 1, 48. Okay. 40 times 2, that is 80. 16 times 3, that is 48. Okay. 48. Now, please kindly pay attention. Sum up your frequency and sum of the product of the frequency and the deviation. The total numbers of frequency must be equal to 300. Why? Because in the question we are given that the daily earnings of 300 employees. So the sum of the frequency, the numbers of employees must be equal to 300. So here I'm going to have 300. And for these cells, if you have minus 60 minus 96 minus 56 plus 0 plus 48 plus 80 plus 48, what's the answer? That is negative 36. Okay. Summation LD equals to negative 36. Okay, so that is the summation. We have gotten summation FD. Now, this is where I want to pay attention the most. Okay, I'm very sure you understood how I compute this table, how I got all these values on the table. Now, The next thing is that since we've been given that the coded value is x minus 225 all over 50, summation fd all over summation f, that will be what? Minus 36 multiplied by, see, the difference between the upper class interval and the lower class interval is what? 50. If you check the difference between the upper class interval and the lower class interval, okay, upper class interval minus the lower class interval, okay. Now let's start with the first one. 100 minus 50, that is 50. 150 minus 100, 50. 200 minus 150, 50. 250 minus 200, 50. 300 minus 250, 50. 350 minus 300, 50. You can see that the difference is 50. So here, the difference will be 50. So multiply it by 50. Summation FD is negative 36. Negative 36 divided by 300 multiplied by 50. That is, here we are going to have 1, 6. Negative 36 divided by 6, that is negative 6. Okay, so we got negative 6 here. So the final answer will be 225 minus, okay, plus minus 6. So here I'm going to have 225. Now, if you please pay attention, plus multiply minus is minus, so minus 6. That means that 225 minus 6, that will give us 219. Okay,